Shall we do the top 5 action sequences in the John Wick franchise?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need a gun.
So, we're doing my number 5, your number 5,
Yeah.
like we
Let's see.
have been doing. All right.
I'm going to pull it up on my laptop here. That way I get the list correct.
Number 5.
What's your number 5, Connor?
The final duel in part 3 between him and Mark Dacascos.
Wow.
Because that kind of set a precedent for the first action sequence in the 4th film.
Gotcha.
In a similar Hall of Mirrors. And watching that in the theater was kind of breathtaking.
Yeah, I have to say that's actually not on my list. So I'm surprised, weirdly that you put it, because like we said, this is a tough one to do.
It was a hard one.
There's double-digit action scenes in these films, right, that are worthy. So
yeah,
that's a good choice. My number 5, the horse stable scene in Parabellum when he's riding on a horse in the streets. I believe is it New York City? I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. That. How can I? It's Keanu Reeves on a horse, dude.
How can you not love it?
And I know it's maybe you're how this maybe it didn't look fake, dude. I could tell he actually rode a horse.
If there were visual effects,
it was
minimal.
the green screen, maybe, right?
It was minimal.
Yeah.
Though. It wasn't so obvious. It wasn't like the Star Wars prequels where it was this fucking glob of CG.
And I like too when action sequences do something different, because like I was saying earlier, John Wick tends to have this slight problem with he relies on shooting his gun all the time as his action. But in that specific sequence, his action is riding a goddamn horse in the streets of New York.
And that concept actually relates to my number 1. No spoilers.
Ooh, okay. What's your number 4, though?
My number 4 is when he stabs everyone with a fucking pencil in part 2.
Ooh, I like that scene, so I won't spoil where that is, but it's coming up. That's what I'll hint at.
Yeah.
That one's great. My number 4, the library scene with Boban Moriar. His last name is too hard, so I'll just say it's Boban. If anybody watches the NBA, for some context, John Wick has an action scene in Chapter 3 with a real-life NBA basketball player that I kid you not is 7'5". He is massive. He doesn't even have to jump when he dunks. And I loved that scene because it is a little slapsticky with the comedy as well. And I like seeing a huge guy trying to beat up Keanu Reeves. I'm sorry.
And also NBA.
I love basketball. So Boban too. I don't know if anybody watches NBA.
I don't.
He's one of the most likable guys in the NBA because he's kind of the friendly giant of the league. And it's kind of funny to see him playing a very antagonistic character.
And he knocks his head right in.
Yeah. And he's having fun with the role too. I like when actors just have fun with the role. Okay, what's your number 3?
The aforementioned stairs sequence in part 4.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good, because that is the police story moment of number 4, right?
And where he pulls off the more insane stunts.
Yeah.
And having to fall down the 120 stairs. And the fact that he's already injured and he's being commanded.
No, he's messed up
by the high table to climb up that
I think he got shot right before this too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
120 stairs. And then it gets even more satisfying to see the baddies just tumble down and to see Donnie Yen join in.
Because guess what? The stunt double's actually doing it, guys. 120 stairs. Some stunt double did that on screen for us, so respect it. That's all I'm saying. My number 3, the knife fight in Parabellum. Do you remember that knife fight where he almost gets it in the guy's eye?
Yeah.
I thought that was gruesome. And he actually does get it in his eye at one point. Because it is a callback.
Slapstick.
It's a callback, like you said, to the second movie, right?
And it's a slapstick comedy scene, ostensibly.
And that's kind of one of the first times I saw the martial arts really impress me in the films, I must say. Because I have to be honest, it was more gun violence in the first 2. Whereas the third one, it was really adding that martial arts component.
Yeah, that's actually my number 2 choice.
Your number 2?
That was my number 1 until...
Yeah.
Until Chapter 4 came out.
Okay. Wow. So my number 2 is the showdown in Osaka in Chapter 4 with the glass, just the samurai swords, the storyline of, father, don't help John Wick. a friend is only good if they can operate when it's not convenient, is basically what he says, right? It gave it stakes to the battle.
Yeah.
I liked it. And do we need to say the cinematography in the sequence in Chapter 4 in Japan? Excellent. Excellently done.
Excellent.
Most excellent adventure.
My number one.
What's your number one?
Is, for context in the movie, right after John Wick and Donnie Yen meet up with this Don with the gold teeth.
Wow, that's an
A
interesting
fight
number
scene
one.
occurs in this massive nightclub environment.
Yeah.
It is one of the most stunning action sequences I think I've seen in a while.
The way they
And it's
executed that scene is
brutal.
very interesting too, because it seems like a dream more than
Yeah,
all the other
I
sequences.
got goosebumps during this moment because
Yeah.
of the way the neon lighting and sound mixing were done.
And might I add, they're playing poker at the same time too, so it adds like that
They're
cool
playing
element.
poker before it. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the scene when
Well,
he
I feel like they're
fights right
connected
after.
weirdly. They're
Yeah.
connected, the two scenes, because you can't have them start fighting randomly, because it adds like a
No.
reason they're fighting. My number one.
And the things that Keanu goes through in this scene, he falls down. He falls on concrete, and he looks like he could have broken all of his bones in his body. And he gets up, and the way he pummels the Don in the face right after that.
And the Don
It's
is,
fucking
might I add,
nasty.
300 pounds, so it is
Yeah.
a very
And he
worthy
has to-
opponent.
That incredibly badass moment where he has to get his inhaler right in the middle of the scene.
Yep.
For his next vicious moment.
Yeah, no, it's a very well done scene.
And this is the first scene in the movie where I think I see John Wick getting hurt and vulnerable.
He's
The
finally,
vulnerability of the hero is a key to a great action sequence.
True. My number
Even seeing
one.
getting hurt.
My number one is the subway fight with the pencil in Chapter 2. The first introduction of the
Good
pencil kill. The reason I like it so much is...
Which is called back to in the stair scene in Chapter 4.
Yeah, the reason I liked it a lot was because at that part of the story, this is when every single person in the high table is just gunning for him because there's a bounty. And yes, they do this again, like in later iterations of the franchise, but this was the first time I was severely, like, concerned about Wick, I guess, because there was just so many obstacles being thrown his way at that point.
Yeah.
Like, he would be walking down the street and some random guy would try to kill him, and he had to, like, improvise because he had no weapon at the time.
And he gets resourceful.
He gets very resourceful.
Fucking
Uses a
pencil.
pencil to kill somebody gruesomely, as John Wick would, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So, I think that about wraps up our conversation about John Wick. That was a pretty good one, Connor. What did you think?
I thought it was strong. One of our stronger ones
Yeah, I think
as of yet.
I don't think it has to be, like, said again, but action movies, this is a must-watch if you're into them, right?
Certainly.
Yeah.
And this is one of the better ones to come out of Hollywood, at least in the past 20 years. This is one of the few, I think, that can, along with Everything Everywhere All at Once, that can really rival Hong Kong cinema.
I think so,
when it comes
too.
to it.
And can I just say this, too? I'm happy that there's all types of movies that exist, and there's a movie for everyone. So I don't want to see these disappear, weirdly, because
No.
sometimes movies are good to just go into the theater and enjoy yourself and have a good 2 hours of your time. Because we live in, these very, very difficult times right now. So these movies are clearly an escapism
It's great
element for people.
escapism.
So thank you, Hollywood, for keeping, like, these alive. Because guess what? Other countries, Connor, they don't have these type of movies out.
Except for Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Obviously.
and I heard China is doing these kind of movies as well, where they're kind of trying to take influence from the MCU. I heard the green screen and the technology is just so unwatchable in these movies. The
Yeah, it's
writing
clearly
is
not up to
the
par.
writing too is just like, but in this one, that's the thing about these American blockbusters is they know what they are. Keanu Reeves' writing maybe is not top tier, but guess what?
I don't think he wrote the script, though.
He's badass, dude. He's so badass in the movie. So it works.
Obviously.
It definitely works on a certain
Yeah.
level.